Hello my fellow mayors and welcome once again to Perafilozof City Skylines videos. In this one I'll be continuing, well, am I going to be continuing? I mean, how do we continue from this? I am bankrupt, there's like 322 people still living in this wasteland and you can pretty much enjoy the peace and quiet right now. Well, maybe away from these buildings, but let's say over here, we hear the birds singing, this breeze that's blowing these trees over. I mean, it's beautiful in its own way, isn't it? I'm just messing with you. This is what happened when I left the city to run overnight and probably failed to give it enough services or the power plant failed to provide the power. Anyway, that's a small joke I wanted to play on you. So let's go back to the actual city that I'm at the moment. I hope you don't get too annoyed for me because I pulled this little trick on you. But in order for me to show you how I'm going to progress, I enabled and disabled one mod. The mod that I disabled was the improved public transportation because for some reason it was getting my number of people using my public transportation down and I was losing a lot of money because of it. And even after turning off the improved public transportation mod, the amount of population using the buses or the metros is very much down. I mean, of course the metro is down because I turned off almost all of my metro stops. That's another whole story. But the amount of people using the buses is also kind of bugged. So I'm not sure will that even get fixed. The buses do pay for themselves several times over, while the metros never actually able to go even above 50% usefulness and effectiveness and profitability. As for the city itself, this zone over here is a bit ugly because of this whole huge hill here. As you can see, a lot of the buildings are 2 by 2 and that's going to be another problem that I will talk about in a moment. Currently I'm up over here, almost at the end of it. I only have a few zones left to be filled. The population goes wildly from 390,000 to 470,000. I've had several huge death waves, as you can see here, going from, let's see, 41,000 down to, would you mind telling me what was the population? No, actually that was 403,000 to 427,000 at the peak. We had a peak here at 420,000 over here from, how about you tell me what the bottom was? 404,000. Strange. This thing shows far a fewer than actually more than I actually had. I had like 390,000 at one moment. Not sure, maybe that was the moment. Yeah, probably. In any event, you can see the huge spikes. I had huge death waves, as you can see here, huge death waves, over 8,000, and I was losing buildings, commercial buildings. You can see here I was at 90,000 commercial buildings, then dropped down to 65 or so, then went back to 90, then went even lower to 63,000, then I brought them back, then I had a time of stability, then again a drop, a rise, a drop, a rise. Now for some reason I have stability, but who knows what will happen next. In any event, I'm trying to switch over some commercial buildings for the offices. You can see a lot more offices since those death waves that destroy the commercial zones. The problem with this is that the offices just do not give enough taxes. I don't know about other people's games, and I saw in a few let's plays on YouTube, and I talked about this already in the previous video, how people have a much higher tax income per building than I do. For example, my offices at 90,000 office space give me what, 40,000 income, while other people would have 90,000. My residential zones at 450,000 people give me an income of 190 at the same tax that other people have it, but they get like 4 or 500,000. So not sure what exactly bugged my tax income. I think it's a bug. One of your fellow subscribers tried even to take my save and do whatever he could to increase the tax income, but he could not crack. At least for now, he hasn't been able to crack what's the problem here. So I'm thinking it's just a simple bug. I mean, the town can still be profitable from time to time by a few thousand or maybe even 14 at the moment. I do still have a huge bank account, but the problem is simply that it seems to be a bug as far as I could tell. In any event, I'm doing my best. Now, the mod that I turned on was the show all limits mod. Now, as far as the roads and road intersections go, I'm totally fine. But the problem is in the amount of buildings. I'm now passing 27,800 buildings, while the availability is 32,256, which is pretty much the same for everything. The problem here is that I have a lot of 2x2 buildings. I used to have 1x1, 1x4 buildings. I got rid of 99% of those, but I do have thousands upon thousands of 2x2 buildings, which are produced when I have these intersections, one lane, two ways. So I have a problem where they create these 2x2 squares, and then I zone them and get 2x2 buildings. And that is pretty much along the entire city because of how I created my road network. Now I could go about destroying those 2x2 buildings, and you can see at the moment I'm growing more of them, so definitely I decided against going around and bulldozing all of them. I mean, just multiply this over here with this. It would be a monumental task, and I'm just not gonna do it. I mean, I could, but I have no time for something like that. So I'm just gonna go about filling my city up to the 32,000 buildings, and what population I get at that point is gonna be the final population. Somebody can ask for the save, take up the torch and try to bulldoze those 2x2 buildings. I would give them the save file and just say good luck and have fun. But I'm going to fill up using my current design to the 32,256 buildings, and what population I get will be the final population. Currently, when I'm matching 457,000 with no death waves coming, I've even built more of the crematoriums to reach 8,820 capacity, because as you saw, my city could die easily when I leave it, and I honestly leave it. I leave it during the night, I leave it when I'm at my work, I leave it when I am not playing something else on my PC, so I'm pretty much running this city maybe 16 hours a day, and it's still not enough time to get it developed all the way. You see that between the last video and the video here, I just managed to fill up this area. So like I said, it's very slow going, especially when over the night happens what I showed you in the beginning of the video, where the whole night is wasted because the city blew itself up. I mean, there were probably some dinosaurs, then there was the alien invasion, then there was the plague, then there were the vampires, but you get the point, the city got destroyed. In any event, this is what I'm up to at the moment. I still have this area here to fill up with the residential zones. I can zone a little bit more, but I will let them build first, because I'm trying to keep the number of new people who will die at the same age to a minimum, and then when they settle down, a few years pass, I add more, trying to keep away those pesky death waves. The biggest problem with the death waves was that they were destroying the commercial buildings, and then I used that moment to change a lot of the commercial buildings into offices to reduce the noise pollution, to reduce the amount of goods that they require. One of my subscribers has mentioned that maybe the noise pollution would influence my tax income. I've reduced it by, I don't know, 6-7%, but the tax income is pretty much the same. I mean, it's higher because I have more residential zones, but it's not higher because the noise pollution was reducing it. So yeah, another failed attempt to fix the problem with the tax income. Well, in any event, that's pretty much everything that I had to show you in this video and tell you. So stay tuned and we'll see how far we can get. Thank you for watching.